Let us put our palms together. We respectfully invite Jianhu Shifu to start the lecture.
Okay, let me get
3 half bows to Shifu.
1 half bow to the Buddha. Okay, let me get these things set up. You see my desktop with the PPT?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, let us begin with a 5-minute meditation. You can play the timer if you have it set up. Let us calm our mind before the lecture. We focus on the breath, breathing in, breathing out. At each moment, simply become aware of the air flowing through your nose, either way, flowing in or flowing out. Become aware of the momentary changes, moment by moment, the tiny, minute changes in your sensation. What we call breathing is just a label. What really is happening is the momentary flow of air. We become aware of these little fleeting changes. Okay, it's been 5 minutes. Let us begin with today's topic. A few weeks ago, Shifu had a first lecture on this topic of deconstructing the self. We didn't finish because there's a lot of material. Today we are going to continue. And as I was preparing, I realized that this second talk is not going to finish it either. So we're going to need a third talk on deconstructing the self. It is a important and deep topic. And so let us take our time. So this is part of the series called Understanding Our Mind. To understand life and how to be happy, we need to understand ourselves. To understand ourselves, Buddha points the direction. The direction is understand our mind. And to understand our mind, we need to understand what we are not. Okay? And we have a lot of delusions or misbeliefs about who we are. And these beliefs, delusions, they're all a matter of the mind, what our mind thinks. So, this deconstructing the self is the part where we understand and destroy the false beliefs about who we are, what we are. And instead of reviewing what we've done previously, which we did in the previous talk, Shifu will just very quickly give you a top level view. So deconstruct the self. Our conscious mind, our thinking mind, basically constructed an idea of the self. And that idea of the self has three fundamental characteristics. The three characteristics are: one, believing in a permanent self, which is the main content of what we talked about in the previous lecture. We spent a lot of time going through the details of that belief. And the second is interdependence, which is what we'll talk about today. Interdependence is a blind spot. That means we believe that we are an individual. We are separated from the rest of the world and from other people. Okay, that is a false belief. So we need to understand the idea of interdependence or dependent origination, dependent arising. Okay, that is a very fundamental part of Buddhist teaching. And the third blind spot is control. We believe that we have control, or we believe that we do not have control. So this misunderstanding about the nature of control and how to change our life is the third blind spot. So hopefully we'll cover part of that control issue as well. So I'm just going to skip the first blind spot, breaking the permanence view. Okay, now we look at the second blind spot, which is the blind spot in understanding ourselves. Or we can say is when we misunderstand ourselves, what we call the ego self, our inner idea, image of who we are, has this independent idea, independent view. So we need to realize not independence, but interdependence, or how we are related to each other and the world in an inseparable way. Okay? That interdependence has been called dependent origination or dependent arising. We're talking about the same principle that the Buddha put forth. So previous to the Buddha, nobody have explained this. Nobody has understood this in our world. So breaking the independence view. So first of all, let us look at the myths. What people believe, what you and I believe regarding that we are an individual, that we are distinct, that we are separate, that we are independent. Okay, there are different kinds of myths. So every single person, including myself, we believed, or we used to believe, that the I is an independent entity having a distinct identity. Okay, whether you thought about this a lot or you never think about it, all of us have this view. It may be, if you thought about it, you may come to have some sort of philosophy or idea or explicit idea or writing or studying about how to be myself, how to exert my identity. If you never thought about this issue, this I am an individual, if you never thought about it, this idea, this misbelief still manifests subtly in everything that we do. Okay? So this false belief traps us. It limits us. It separates us. Separate you and me. And it makes us selfish. Because, hey, I'm an individual. I'm distinct. Right? I have my individual free will. So, therefore, I need to do what I want, be myself. I know that is a very important issue in this culture. Be myself. Go for what I want. Now, I'm not saying don't do that. I'm not against that. Shifu is saying we need to understand better when you say be myself. Go for what I want. When we say that, what do I actually mean by this I or what I want? Okay, we need to understand our terminology better before we say something. Often we say things without really understanding what we're saying. So, this independent view that we are separate, it can also make us lonely, right? Lonely. It limits us, traps us within an identity that we perceive that we are. So some people are very pessimistic about themselves. Oh, I'm no good, I'm ugly, I'm foolish, I'm stupid, I'm not smart. I'm poor, I'm so and so and so and so. That belief is your belief of who you are, and you think you're fixed in that identity. So it traps you. It limits you. If I'm not smart, then I'm not a genius and I can never be. I will never be able to learn this. I will never be able to be as good as somebody else in this endeavor. When you think like that, you limit yourself. It separates us. Because I'm an individual, you may think I need a partner to complete myself. Some religion believe that you need the other half. You need marriage. You need this to complete yourself. Or you feel eternally lonely because you are forever separated from the world. It makes us selfish because, hey, I am me. So it's natural to go for what I want, to put my interest in front of everybody else's. Because I'm the most important person in my world. This all sounds reasonable. Unfortunately, that's based on a false view. The false view of I'm independent. So, breaking the independence view, or let's replace that with the right view, the right perspective, the right understanding. Okay, what are the right views? One, no phenomena exist independently, physical or mental. And we'll go into details about this. Okay? No phenomena in this world that you can point to. Everything. Whether it's an object, like the computer I'm talking to, this computer and the video camera. These objects are interdependent. They don't come into being by themselves. Whether it's an object, whether it's a person, you and I and everybody you know in this world, nobody can come into being by themselves. At least the form that you perceive. So when you perceive this person is my father, this person is my mother, this person is my husband, or my wife, or my children, or my friend, or Shifu, whatever person you perceive, they don't come to become a Shifu or a father or a son independent. It's not possible, right? The phenomena could be an event. So right now, we are having an online lecture. So this event takes a lot of dependent conditions, a lot of things have to happen. A lot of factors have to be in place for this to happen. Yeah? So previously I was in the Zen center, and then when it's time for a class, I walk into the classroom, I sit down and I start talking. Right now, we had to start half an hour early and prepare everything. And several people are involved in every online lecture. Our TAs that work in the background. We're grateful for them. And the electricity has to be there, which is not always the case in these mountains. And the internet has to be working, and so on and so on. And you have to be here. You know, if nobody's here, I'll be talking to a empty meeting. That'll be kind of funny. All right, somebody has to be interested in this strange topic of deconstructing yourself. A lot of things have to happen for an event to happen, right? And So that is a good time to practice interdependent thinking. Let us be grateful of the factors, the conditions that will make tonight's lecture happen. Yeah, we're thankful for who, for what. What are we thankful of? We're thankful for the Buddha, because what I'm talking about is not something I came out myself. It's something I learned from the Buddha, through the Grand Master, and through the scriptures, the Buddha sutras and treatises. Okay, we're thankful for our teachers and the parents who taught us read and write. We are thankful for the technology that made this happen. We're thankful for the farmers who planted the food that I ate today. We're thankful for, so you can do this yourself. Let's have a minute of silence to practice interdependence. What should we be grateful of for tonight's lecture to happen? Okay, by the way, our host, 请提醒师父, please remind me when it is 8:20. That means we have been going on for 80 minutes to prepare to stop and leave time for question and answer interaction. Okay, 就是提醒师父8:20呢，要准备停下来，我们要有一些互动跟问答。Okay, so we continue. No phenomena exist independently. So phenomena are formed. So people, things, events, ideas, they are formed by the aggregate of numerous causal conditions. So there's a cause for this lecture to happen. So Shifu observed that people are troubled by their fuzzy understanding of who they are, leading to unhappiness in life. So I want to share what I have learned from the Dharma, this teaching about deconstructing the self. That's the cause. And many conditions, which we already mentioned, need to be in place for this to happen. Okay, so you do this practice yourself. Practice on anything, any event, any person, any object, the aggregate of causal conditions. Having no fixed intrinsic self-nature. The self-nature means something internal and intrinsic and fixed, so it never change about this thing, this phenomena. It's very easy to have this intrinsic self-nature idea. For example, what is a chair? What is a computer? What is classical music? What is who is Einstein? Okay, so these are people or things. What is their intrinsic nature? What is the defining characteristic of these people or things? Whenever we think about something or somebody, immediately in the background of our mind, immediately this intrinsic self-nature come up, whether explicitly or implicitly. Yeah. So when we think about a chair, we have an implicit idea of what a chair is, but chair can come in many different ways. You know, somebody can be creative and turn something else into a chair. What is a garbage can? We have some internal, intrinsic idea, some idea about the intrinsic nature of garbage can. So many years ago, our monastery was holding a very large event. So thousands of people come to the monastery in Taiwan. And so we need a lot of temporary chairs, these plastic, very cheap plastic chairs, yeah, with 4 legs. And so I saw some shifus turning this plastic chair around with the 4 legs up in the air, and then put a plastic bag over it, a trash bag over it. So suddenly this chair became a garbage can. A garbage can. So is it a chair or is it a garbage can? Right? So everything. So who is Einstein? Everybody's first idea may be, oh, he's a genius. He's a physicist. He came up with theory of relativity. He came up with equal mc squared. He's a representation of genius. But then, do you know that Einstein could also mess up things in certain other ways? Just like all of us. Do you know that he has trouble with relationships with his wife? Does he argue with his wife? Probably does. Does he know enough emotional management to deal with that? I don't know. Maybe in that aspect, he's just like the rest of us, right? So what is Einstein? So having no fixed intrinsic self-nature because people can change. Einstein, when he's 5 years old, he was considered a slow learner. Yeah, when he became 20, when he became 30, when he was 50. Yeah, and similarly with you and I. My personality when I was 5, when I was 20, when I'm 50, when I'm right now. These personality or reactions or behaviors or ideas are the aggregate, influenced by many people, many things. So there's no intrinsic self-nature. If you think about it, it's kind of hard to let go. Kind of difficult idea to let go. You would like to think that, hey, there's some inner true self. There's something distinct, definite, unchanging about Jianhu Shifu. Yeah. It's kind of difficult to think, actually I'm a faceless being that can morph, that can change from moment to moment. That sounds kind of scary or uncomfortable. But actually, that idea, if you like to entertain it, if you like to think about it, that is actually liberating. Can free you from the trap. Okay, but let's continue. So breaking the independent view. So I am not independent. But who is the I? Well, let's look at I from my body, from your body, and your mind. So body and mind, okay? That's a reasonable starting point. Let's look at our body. So our body is a temporary aggregation of the 4 elements: earth, fire, water, wind. Earth element refers to the solid part of my body, my flesh, my bones, my skin, and so on. Water refers to the liquid part, the fluid part of my body, blood, my saliva, the water, and the urine, and the kind of fluid waste, hormones. And the fire refers to the heat, the warmth that's necessary for me to stay alive. And the wind refers to the motion, the movement. Okay, so my body is an aggregate of these 4 elements. Kind of like Lego, right? You play with Lego. You put these different pieces together and you build a truck, you build a house, you build something. Yeah, you build a movie. So we are not so different from a set of Lego, our body. So our cells constantly die. Every second, millions of cells in our body, in each body, in my body, die, seriously. But also millions of cells are born in a second. So millions of cells die and are born every second. That is an incredible thing if you think about it, right? And regarding the body, there's internal and external exchange of material, like food, water, air. When we breathe, when we go to the restroom, when we poop, dirt, hair that gets on our body or get into our system, hair loss, when you cut your nails, your dead skin cells shed, and so on and so on. So it just takes a few moments of reflection to realize my body is quite fluid, quite always changing, and always exchanging with the materials from the outside world. Some things go in and things go out. Yeah. So our body, the conclusion is that our body is interdependent. If we cut off our body from the outside world, we will die in a few minutes, right? Because no new air going in, you die. No water for 10 days, 20 days, and you die. No exchange of food, no food coming in, you die. And there are many ways that the exchange has to happen. Yeah. So body is interdependent. That's fairly easy to see, although many people don't think about it. So your body is more like a river water, the water in a so-called river. The water is always changing. So your body is not a thing. It is a process. Yeah, it's not a block. It's like a flowing river. Your body is always changing. Yeah, so 20 years ago, compared to now, probably no cells from that 20-year ago body still remain in your current body. So who are you if you think you are the body? It is like you have in Japan, there is a famous monastery, wooden structure, a great massive wooden structure from more than 14 or 1500 years ago. No, sorry. It's a Tang style monastery, but they probably built it maybe 1,000 years ago or 800 years ago, because that's when there's the exchange of monks, right? So that was like hundreds of years old wooden structure, one of the biggest wooden structure building. But wood doesn't last that long. So they have a very exquisite or very detailed replacement strategy. So they're constantly replacing some part of the monastery with new pieces of wood of a particular type. So always doing that. By the time they finish a round, probably take 20 years or 30 years, and it's time to start over again. So when we look at this monastery, we say, oh, it's 800 years old or 500 years old. No pieces remain from the original monastery. So is it the same or is it different? Yeah. Similarly with our body. Okay. All right, so that's the body. Let us now look at the mind, our mind. So it's also very easy to think that my mind is my mind. It's an independent mind. My mind is only me, of course. It's not nobody else's mind. It's my mind, of course. It's obvious. There's no need for proof. My mind is my mind. It's obviously independent. But if you apply honest, objective, careful, detailed observation, investigation, you will begin to realize maybe it's not so obvious. Maybe I was just being fuzzy or careless or about it. There's many things in our life we believe to be a certain way simply because it's convenient or everybody else believes that. But when you deeply investigate, you find out that the truth is the other way around. So the independence of my mind, I'm talking about my mind now, right? Your mind, his mind, my mind, not somebody else's mind. It's just my mind. It's not independent. So our mind, what is our mind? So we always need to be very careful about what we're talking about. Mind is a term, is a label. Body is a term, is a label. It's a convenient destination to talk about a complicated phenomena. So mind is a phenomena. It's complicated. So to say that my mind is independent or interdependent, not dependent, we need to first have a better understanding of our mind. So previously, Shifu used the method of knowing unconsciousness, right, to talk about the mind. Another more classical way to talk about the mind is feeling, conception, volition, and consciousness. So we can look at the mind from these four aspects. Not that there's four individual things, no. They are all part of this phenomena we call the mind, but it's useful to look at, to break down the function of the mind into this feeling, conception, volition, and consciousness. Okay, so these are the four of the five remaining aggregates, the four of the five skandhas. So the present moment, let's begin with what is happening right now at this present moment. At this present moment, I'm speaking and you are listening. At this present moment. What is happening this present moment? At this present moment, there are certain momentary feelings maybe, or maybe not. There are certain perceptions. I'm looking at the screen. You are also looking at the screen, or maybe you're looking at my video, or maybe you are taking a break and getting a cup of drink. So there are certain perceptions, and there are certain mental formations, ideas. So when you listen to the talk so far, you have heard some ideas maybe you heard before, maybe you haven't heard before. Some idea may be striking and insightful, and some idea maybe you wonder about, is that really true? So you have mental formations. And consciousness, you judge, you discern, you discriminate, you come to some conclusion. What Shifu says makes sense, is illuminating, or what Shifu says is confusing, whatever. So your consciousness is at work. So at this very moment right now, this very present moment, these things could be happening in your mind at this moment. So what we usually do is we string together these countless present and past moments and talk about them as if this is one event. For example, breathing. So when we first practice meditation on breathing, so breathe in, breathe out, as if these are two events. Breathe in, breathe out. Yeah? Obviously, there are two events. Breathing in or inhaling, air is going into your body. Exhaling, air is coming out of your body. Two events, right? But an event is just an aggregate. It is the string together of many moments, similar moments that are related. And we give it a designation, a label, a name called breathing. So what is actually happening is that at each moment, the air is going into your body through your nose, a little bit at a time. The next moment, same thing, similar, not identical, but similar. The next moment, the next moment, the next moment. This goes on for several so-called seconds, maybe 1 second, maybe 3 seconds, and then it switches. The air starts to go out. So string together countless present and past moments, and then calling it an event, giving it a label. Another example would be, I'm listening to Shifu's lecture. That is an event, right? But it actually consists of countless moments. Some moments you're listening very carefully. Some moments you get distracted because you got a phone call. Some moments you were dozing off. So these moments may be mostly similar, but then sometimes quite different. You string together and say, oh, I listened to Shifu's lecture. So when at the end of today's talk, when Shifu say, what did you learn today? What are the 3 most important things that you heard today? Are you able to answer that? Every talk or every class you go to, every learning experience, at the end of that, can you say what's the 3 most important thing about that? Each of you have your own answer, right? But if you're able to quickly come up with that, that means while these moments are happening, your mind is actively focused on it. You're integrating it, you're putting it together, you're maybe doing some digesting and reorganization, you're catching the important things and so on. So some people listen to a lecture this way, actively participating, interacting with the content. Some people just passively sit, every word is going through their ears and going out of their ears. Makes sense? Okay, got it. And then when Shifu said, what is the 3 most important thing that you learned today? You draw a blank. So this label we call, this event we call listening to a lecture. Oh, have you heard Shifu's talk on the Deconstructing the Self, the first one? Yes, I have. Have you? Yes, I have. The 2 people both participated in that event, but then their actual experiences could be very, very different. Definitely not identical, right? Some fully participated in it. So hopefully you are fully participating in this. You are actively absorbing and then thinking about it at the same time and then connecting it with your previous learning. And then it may open you up. Oh, wow, I never thought about that. That is useful. Okay, so our life is basically these moments, one following another. These momentary changes, that's our life. And then we label, designate a part of that, calling this event and this event and this event. But actually all of these events are interdependent, not related. Okay? So it's useful to designate, to label these events, but then it also limits you when you think these events are real, when you think these labels are real and fixed. It's useful to label a person as your friend, as a good friend, as your best friend, as a mean person, as a temperamental person, as a compassionate person. It's useful. But remember, these are labels. Never completely accurate. When you label a person, it helps you quickly make some decisions and judgments. But it also ignores many details, which could become an issue when you think these labels are real, including myself, me, okay? And you, I. I is a label. So how can we break the independence view to put the right view to work? First thing, keep the mind present. So Shifu spent the previous month, starting this year, 2026, talk about being the present. Yeah. So it has many benefits to practice being the present moment. So keep the mind present. Observe the impermanence of the mind. So for example, you can observe yourself. You sit here, kind of like a meditation, you just observe your thoughts going by. But you want to have a very clear mind, a clear observation. You can actually see your thoughts one after another. It's interesting how your thoughts jump around from one place to another, sometimes to thousands of miles away, or even outer space, or even jump into a dream or fantasy, and just back and forth. So observe the impermanence of the mind, how your thoughts jump around, how your ideas form and gets modified and change, sometimes flip around 180 degrees. Idea about a person, about a country, about an event, about a phenomena can flip around. Deconstruct mental experiences into split-second bits. It should be into split-second bits. Okay. So, what does that mean? Actually, we just did when we are practicing observing the breath, right? Shifu said, observe the momentary changes. So the momentary changes is little minute changes, how air is flowing in or out of your nostrils. Of course, continues into your body. So that little changes moment to moment, that's what's really happening. What you call inhaling or exhaling, breathing in, breathing out, that's a label. Those are just labels. It's convenient, but these are labels. Yeah. So breathing is pretty easy. Momentary changes. Everybody can understand that in 1 minute. But you need to practice. You need to practice to become good at this. So observing the breath is a very good meditation. You can learn so many things from that practice, even though it's very simple. You can gain many, many insights about yourself and the reality of life from that. So this is one of them, the momentary changes. And when you are pretty good at observing the momentary changes of any part of your body, including the breath, you can try to observe the momentary changes in your mind, which is an aggregate of feeling, conception, volition, and consciousness. When you observe the feelings that is taking place, the aspect of your mind that's called feelings or emotions, then we are beginning the practice of mindfulness of feeling. Mindfulness of feeling is an important practice to help us understand and manage our emotions. Do you have an emotion issue? Does your emotions come up quickly, escalate, sometimes gets out of control? Do you find that you come into conflict with people, co-worker, random person, your own family member? Do you have conflict with them? That's an emotion issue. So observing mindfulness of feeling, practice mindfulness of feeling is going to be very helpful. So when you simply observe that part of your mind, the feelings, yes, great benefits. When you observe other parts of your mind, you learn different things as well. So, for example, sadness, sorrow, anger, and craving. For example, these are labels too. But these are real feelings, right? I feel sad. I'm angry. I crave something. I have sorrow. These are real. No, these are labels. Labels referring to momentary changes in your mind. A string of moments. A string of series moments. A series of similar moments taking place sequentially. Okay. So they're not as real as they seem. For example, sadness. Everybody have felt sad before, right? So most of us are familiar with that feeling of sadness. Well, if we try to be objective, calm, objective, and reflect on that experience of feeling sad, you can do it. Yeah, let us reflect on your own experience of being sad. It's being sad about something, anything. You can see that what we call feeling sad is that there's a moment of sorrow. Yeah, moment of sorrow. That's real, relatively real. Yes, that moment that actually happened. That moment, there's sadness. But linking these moments of sadness, usually the sadness doesn't come for one moment and disappear. Usually it happens through many moments, right? Linking them together, say, I'm so sad, is a result of labeling. It's a result of our conscious mind doing a lot of processing and comparison and judging, and then wanting something, not getting it, right? You want something, you didn't get it, and sort of a wistfulness for what could have been, what might have been. Yeah, if only I did this, if only I realized, if only you, and so on. So wishful thinking. So string together these moments, and then you give it a label called sadness. And then if you feel sad often, that means you have developed a tendency in your mind. Tendency meaning a way of thinking to reinforce that sadness. Life is so sad. Many things make me sad. I get sad easily, for example. So you have developed this habitual reaction to react in a sad or sorrowful way, a wistful way, thinking that you don't have this makes you sad. Why can I not be as rich as others? Why is it that my investment doesn't go well and theirs do? Why is it that their company is doing so well and my company is not? Why is it that they can be so smart and I can't do math? Why is it that their family seem to be in such harmony and my family we are always fighting? Why is my wife this way? Why is my husband this way? Why is my children this way? Why is my parents and in-laws this way? I'm sad. Makes me sad. So the key is I have developed this way of thinking, and it's becoming a habit. Okay, please everyone check that your microphone is off. There'll be in about 20 to 30 minutes, we'll have time to interact. You can turn on your microphone then, but please turn off your microphone now. Okay, so breaking the independence view. So another example is gender. So when you are a teenager, when you're 8, 9 years old, 6, 7 years old, you don't really think about your gender that much. When you're 10, 11, 12, 13, there's physical changes in your body, and then you begin to become interested in the gender issue, right? So the emotional fluctuation and the curiosity about gender during adolescence is normal. In Buddhism, we call the imbalance of the 5 aggregates: form, body, feeling, conception, volition, and consciousness. In the teenage years, all of these 5 aggregates are going through big changes. Okay, for example, your body is maturing at a quick pace. In a few years, you become an adult body. But then your mental maturity doesn't go along with that. Mental maturity takes a long time, right? So it doesn't catch up. There's imbalance, and so there's all kinds of issues. However, there's a tendency right now in certain part of the world, like in the U.S., especially California, say on the western side, magnifying this as a psychological illness or reality and encouraging sex reassignment surgery. euphemism for changing my gender. You go through surgery. I want to become I was born as a man. I want to become a woman. I was born as a boy. I want to become a girl. I was born as a girl. I want to become a man. That is problematic. That is seriously problematic. It has a lot of serious unwanted consequences, right? But then at a certain time in the last few years, it's become the thing to do. Even school encourages that. It's very troublesome. Okay? All right, that's just an example. All right, person, like a house or a car, it is a designation, a label generated by the convergence, coming together of certain factors, causing conditions. So to put together a car, is a lot of effort, right? So who came up with the first automobile? I just found out before. I think it was Benz, the German inventor. His name is Benz, I think, the car, right? Mercedes-Benz. He's credited as the first person to put together a functioning car, automobile. And then Mercedes is a competitor company who also, build cars. But then the Mercedes was a very popular model. Eventually, the two companies or the two people merged and became Mercedes-Benz. Okay, and then sometime later, Henry Ford in the U.S. he created this assembly line. So putting together a car became much more efficient and inexpensive. Make it possible for ordinary people to own a car instead of the rich people. Okay, so putting together a car. Yeah, if you visited the Boeing facility in Seattle, that is a massive facility, huge factory warehouse where on the one end is the beginning of building an airplane. At the other end, the airplane is completed. Putting together a house. In China, they are building high-rise buildings from modular parts, so they can build a high-rise, say a 10-story, 20-story, in an incredibly short time, like a month or less. Do you believe that? So putting together, our body is not so different. It takes 10 months or 9 months in the mother's womb for that part to be, the aggregate to come together. And then it takes another 20 years, 18 years, 20 years for you to become an adult. It takes a long time. But then, it's similar, putting together aggregate. And then, as we said before, the body is constantly exchanging with the outside world. So the process is never finished. The process is never finished, always exchanging. So there's no one point where I say the body is complete. From then on, I don't need anything from outside, and I don't have, internally I'm complete. There's no such point. Like a river, is always exchanging, interdependent. The mind also, your feelings are influenced by other people, right? So when you argue with somebody, the feelings escalate because you're influenced by them. Your conception, your ideas about the world, about things, what to like, what to dislike, are constantly influenced by other people and your past experiences. So it's interdependent. Your judgment is also influenced by many people. So when we say, who is your role model? Who you admire the most? That means that person probably have a lot of that person or that person's behavior or characteristic have a lot of influence on you and help shape who you are right now. So conception, volition, consciousness. Your volition is the stream of thoughts. So your behavior, your reaction to certain things are interdependent. So when Shifu is giving you a talk, I'm trying to interject, your flow of events, so that you can throw some Dharma into your life. So it begins to change your behavior and change your thinking. That's what I'm trying to do. So interdependent. By being together online right now, we are influencing each other. So the present 5 skandhas, is your body and mind, continuous changing, cannot be separated from the rest of the world, right? So I and the rest of the world, I and you and the rest of the world are not one. We're not identical. We're not one person or one entity, but we're not different. We're not so different either. There's local differences. But then overall picture, we are inseparable. Does that make sense? Challenge me if you don't think this is true. Yeah. We'll have the Q&A session. Okay, so very important. Visualization exercise. So now we have talked about all of this in principle, ideas. Let's put these ideas, this teaching into practice. So visualization exercise. Observe the self as interdependent. So observe myself. Yeah? What is your name? Your name is John, your name is Mary, your name is Jianhu Shifu, your name is so and so. Okay, yourself. Try to look at yourself as an interdependent phenomena. As interdependent, not dependent. Not independent. So look at yourself as not independent, but rather interdependent. Not imagination. Base your observation on facts. So, specifically, wake up every morning and be grateful to be alive. So the first thing in the morning when you wake up, open your eyes. Practice gratitude. Why? Because it helps us to realize the interdependent nature of our life and myself. So recognize how many factors together make living possible. Let us start right now. Do a 3-minute practice. So in the chat box, write down the first thing you think of when we say we want to practice being grateful to be alive today. What factors need to be present for me to be alive for another day? Let's check. So, right now, don't wait. Write down something. I want to be grateful that I'm alive today. Okay? Any feedback? Peace. Okay, I'm grateful for peace. Okay, I'm grateful for air. Okay, good. I'm grateful for my parents. Good. I'm grateful for clean air, clean water. Yes, I am so grateful to be in the forest monastery because it has clean air and clean water. Salt, be grateful for salt. Very good. Salt is necessary, right? For your body. I can see, I can hear. Very good. The very fact that you can hear, you can see, that's priceless. Yeah. Grateful to your teachers. Good. Your teachers from kindergarten all the way to whenever, right? Grateful for the weather, whether it be sunshine or rain. Very good. Very good. Grateful for the sunshine. Grateful for the rain. Grateful for the storm. When here in Santa Cruz in January, I had this power outage for 1 whole week. It's kind of inconvenient, but then I learned things. I found out a couple cafe that I usually don't visit. Oh, there's a couple cafe. There's a local library. I can go in there and just sit and quietly study all day. Oh, beautiful. And so I learned about how the power company has to work extra hard in these mountainous areas. Yeah. Okay. Grateful for my ancestors. Good. Grateful for health and can move around. The very fact you can walk, you can move around is something to be grateful of. Wonderful. Grateful for ancestors, grateful for support of my family. Great. Yeah, everybody, your family member, each one of your family member have supported you, whether you thought about it or not. So think about all your family member, whether it's a small nuclear family or a big family, or maybe some of your family members are away in another country. They supported you in different ways. Okay. Grateful for a country that is stable with access to food and housing. Yes. Don't take this for granted. There are many people in this world right now. They wake up in the morning. They don't know if they can survive the day. Yeah. Loving and being loved. Okay. Grateful for the ability to love someone and being loved by someone. Farmers, shopkeepers, electricity, water company, from toothbrush to bed to sleeping. Okay, you get the idea, all right? So when you wake up every day in the morning, there are so many things to be grateful of. Pick 5 things. So pick 5 things. That only take maybe a couple minutes, but then it changes the mood for the whole day. This is actually a practice, a Buddhist practice. It helps you put into a good mood, help you recognize the factors that you have ignored, help you practice interdependence. Okay? All right, so that's one exercise. Okay. Another practice, take a deep breath under a tree. Every inhalation brings in fresh air, hopefully fresh air. So that's why you want to stand under a tree, a big tree, all right? Find a big tree in your neighborhood, go stand under it and breathe hard for a few minutes. Brings in fresh air and the collective good karma of the open space. Yeah, open space. So in the States, right, most cities have local parks. That's a wonderful idea. Wonderful idea that, you have a local park that you can hopefully walk to or maybe drive within 5 minutes. You can get to it, right? 5 to 10 minutes. That's wonderful. Make use of it. So collect your good karma to have this green open space. Every exhalation releases carbon dioxide and waste from the body and mind. From the body for sure. Every exhalation, every time you breathe out, you release some waste your body don't need. That's why you practice deep breathing. Breathe deeply. It's good for the health. But also, take the opportunity to breathe out the waste from your mind. So there's a Buddhist practice you may have heard before. Breathing in, I taking all that is good from around me. Mentally, as well. Breathing out, I take that all this negative and let it go. Yeah? Have you heard this practice, a Buddhist practice? It's not just imagination. It is real practice. So when you think this way, you actually begin to let go of negative aspects of your life. Okay, breathe out. It goes out into the air. Okay, so you are making some changes into your life. You're taking in some of the good interdependent factors into your life by breathing, both physically and mentally. Yeah, when you breathe out, you take out some waste. So mentally breathing means you let go of some of the negative feelings. Don't hold on to it, just let go. So that is actually a practice of interdependence, or recognizing the interdependent nature, or letting interdependence work for you. Another practice, another exercise, encountering every person, whether the person is close to you, the person you really like, you enjoy their company, or the person is neutral, meaning that you don't really know this person. You don't have any good karma or bad karma with that person. You don't really think about that person. So when you go to a store and you're passing by, the person's passed by, and right, the clerk, or an adversary, somebody who push your buttons, somebody who make you emotional, who easily make you emotional, somebody who was always challenging your ideas. The other day I was having a conversation with AI about some issue, and the AI was actually arguing with me. We argued about 20 minutes. So that's actually good, because many of these AI models, they don't argue with you. Yeah. So this one actually will argue with you. They hold its own opinions. Of course, he's trying to be objective, but then he has his own ideas. So the arguing back and forth, if it's done within a controlled way, is actually good, because it exposes you to perspectives you haven't seen before. So I value that experience. And I value people who go against me, who say, Shifu, I don't agree, and this is why, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's very useful. So people who challenge you, whether emotionally or rationally, value these people. Be appreciative. Be grateful to the people who push your button. Why? Because if everybody around you always agree with you, you're not going to learn anything. We're living in the ivory tower. So observe their dependent origination, knowing that they too have difficulty controlling their own thoughts and actions. So control is the third thing that we're going to talk about in deconstructing yourself, right? First thing was permanence or impermanence. That was the previous talk. Today we talk about independence or interdependence, and looks like we're not gonna be able to get to the third topic, control. So appreciate every person you encounter in your life. Appreciate that coworker who make you emotional, because they are an opportunity for you to become more emotionally mature, to grow up, to learn how to handle these people. They make you angry because you don't know how to handle these people yet. The Buddha will have to learn to handle all kinds of people. That's one of the 10 characteristics, 10 common characteristics of the Buddha, is to be able to, the tamer, the great tamer, tame everyone. And if you don't know how to tame that person or come to terms with that person, that means you have something to learn from that person. So appreciate every person you encounter. Another exercise for every event that occurs, observe its dependent origination and try to recognize the current situation more comprehensively and from multiple angle perspectives. So something happens in your life. Maybe this event is challenging. You don't like it. That's perfect. Try to look at the dependent origin, all the different factors that led things to become this way. So let's say you had a fight with a coworker. Great, wonderful opportunity to learn. So observe this argument you had with this coworker. What do? Observe its dependent origination. So how did things come this way? Like you think of it when you think of this some issue this way, think of it in a different way. So you guys don't agree. Okay, good. That happens more often than not. It means you have an opportunity to learn a different perspective about this issue. Why be angry? You said the other person is being irrational. Good. Why do you expect people to be irrational? People are by nature irrational. Or people are by nature, not by nature, people by karma. People by karma are a combination of rationality and irrationality. By karma. A combination of rationality and irrationality because of all these factors. Look around us. People behave in all kinds of irrational ways. And people also behave in many rational ways. We are a combination of that, reflecting ourselves. So similarly with that person, observe the dependent origination of this event and try to recognize the situation more comprehensively. Okay, so this is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. And from multiple angle perspective, you need to be proactive about seeing things from different perspective. So when a person disagrees with you, you try to see things from his angle, try to agree with him, on a debate team. Yeah? They want you to take on this perspective, whether you believe it or not, take on this perspective. And the other team will take on the opposite perspective and you argue. Right? So do the same thing. You try to take on that perspective and try to see things from their perspective. You have to do this with practice. You have to practice this. It doesn't come naturally for most people. You have to be willing to do that practice. Okay? And when you become good at this, you become calm. You be calm. You don't get emotional anymore. You can calm and objectively see things more comprehensively. You get closer to the truth. Okay, finally, this is the last thing before I stop. Before going to bed, review your day, everything that happened today. Record key points in a cultivation journal. Right? So everybody keep a cultivation journal. So, for example, I have been doing this cultivation journal previously on actually a notebook, writing it down, and then later I recorded in an online doc on the Google Doc. So all my 8 years of this cultivation journal is in one single doc, one single online document. So before going to bed, review the day, record key points. It just have to be. It can take maybe 5 minutes. It's not a run-of-the-mill thing. Just write down some points. Whether it's insight, whether it's something that confuses you, something you don't have an answer for, something about the Dharma, anything that you think is important thing, including things that confuse you. And be grateful for all internal and external conditions. That means everything that happens in your life, good or bad. What you see is good or bad is just a specific perspective. What is bad from another perspective is good. Whether these conditions will kind to you or challenge you, accept them as they come. Accept them as they come. Doesn't mean you agree, but accept them. So agree that your coworker can act in a very irrational way. Fine. That's the way he or she is. And he is that way because of many conditions that shaped him. Accept them as they come. Okay? So these various exercises together help to attack this false view of an independent body and mind, independent self. Slowly break apart the pieces, deconstruct this hardened idea of I'm independent, and then slowly, gently get you used to the idea that I is interdependent. So there's a Vietnamese Buddhist master who passed away recently, Master Thich Nhat Hanh. He coined the term interbeing. We are not individual beings, we are interbeings. The idea is not new. I mean, Buddha came out with this idea, right? Interdependence. But the term is very good. I really like this term. We are interbeings. Okay? So now, today we have talked about the second important characteristic of the self, the misunderstanding of the self, that is independence. And then we talked about how to break that and realize that we are interdependent. And don't be scared, don't be afraid, don't be afraid that when we lose something important. When you open yourself up as interbeings, as interdependent, in fact, you gain much more than you can imagine. Okay? So, deconstruct the self. Part 1, breaking the permanence view, which is previous lecture. Part 2, breaking the independent view. Realize interdependence, which is this lecture. Part 3, breaking the control view. Realize that we're incomplete control. So that will have to be a next lecture 3, which we will schedule sometime. Okay. Okay. So that's it. Let us stop for now, and let's have interaction, question and answer. Right? Is there anything you want to ask about today's topic, yeah, let's begin with that. Let's see. Are the causes and conditions for sadness, sorrow, anger, and so on actually ever present? Does changing our view on what sadness, sorrow, anger are affect how they are experienced? Okay, so this is a good question. The causes and conditions for sadness. So what makes you sad? Right? That's a common question. What makes you sad? The same thing that makes you sad may not make another person sad. Is that right? Some people feel very sad about, having for example, your child is college time, and that your child is going away to a college, so you won't see them every day now. Some parents feel sad. Some parents feel great. I'm finally free. Yeah. So, getting laid off from your job. Some people feel sad. Some people just move on and say, okay, let me try something else. So, the conditions themselves are not the real causes for your sadness. So what is the real cause for your sadness? Let's write it, or you can talk. Yeah. So host, please open up the microphone. You can turn on your microphone. You want to talk, or you can write. Attachment. Okay, somebody say attachment. Attachment to what? Attachment to what? views, beliefs, okay? Attachment to a certain view. Attachment to a certain view that this shouldn't happen. I don't want this to happen. Yeah, for example, I don't want this to happen. It would be better if my children are always near me. It would be better if my children listen to me instead of always arguing with me. It would be better if my coworker are more rational. When they get irrational, I get upset. So these are your views, your own views. These views are expectations, right? Many of them are expectations. You expect people to be rational. You expect people to be nice to you. Is that a reasonable expectation? Is that a reasonable expectation? It'll be nice, but then it's not reasonable. Because so many things are going on in everybody's life. And people have so many different aspects, so many different sides. Yeah? You know so little about the different sides of a person and their past cause and conditions. So who are you to say they should behave in a certain way? Even if that person is your own wife or husband or father or mother or your children, there's so many things about them you don't know, you haven't seen. The kind of issue that's going through their mind. Just because you don't have these issues doesn't mean they shouldn't have these issues, right? So the reason that these events, these factors that make you sad is because you have a fixated view about what should be and what shouldn't be. You become attached to it. So the key is your view. All right? So a related is that, is Shifu suggesting that we should unconditionally accept what happened? Don't we need to cope with it to move on? Okay, very good. So when things happen, accept it. Is Shifu saying you accept it unconditionally? Yes, that's what I'm saying. Unconditionally accept everything that happens. But wait, what are you saying? What are you saying, Shifu? Don't we need to cope with it and move on? Of course you need to cope with it. Especially if there's some errors, some hurting, some injustice, some unfairness. You need to cope with it. But you need to accept what happened first. So you don't waste your energy fighting. Oh, this shouldn't happen. Why are you saying this? Why are you saying this? How can you say that? You're fighting what already happened. You're not accepting what happened. You think this shouldn't happen. You shouldn't say that. You shouldn't behave this way. But it already happened. The person is already acting this way. So when Shifu says accept, it means that, okay, this is ground zero. You said this, that's the way you behave. Ground zero. Let's start from here. Acceptance means that, okay, this is what happened. Let me face it calmly. Now, so I can spend all my energy coping with it, deal with it. Given that you are behaving this way, let me calmly think about what can I say, what can I do, what can I think to improve the situation. Let's say, for example, husband and wife has a big argument. Yeah? So the wife says, let's get a divorce. Yeah? Out of anger, she said, let's get a divorce. Suppose, okay? The husband, when he hears this, gets very angry. Divorce! Do you know all the things I've done for you, for this family, for our children? And goes on. So, gets very upset, feeling that he's not being appreciated. Yeah. Same thing happens on the other side. The wife feeling that she's not being appreciated. That's why she's saying that she wants a divorce. But then it's out of anger that she says that. Does she really want a divorce? We don't know. Maybe not. Yeah. So don't believe. Don't take what people say when they are angry seriously. Don't take the words that people say when they're angry seriously, because themselves regret it later. But when you write on that what they say and you get, you fight hard about it, then that anchors what they say, and then the situation escalates. Okay, so acceptance means, okay, you're saying that you want a divorce. Whether it's real or not, is really what you feel or not. How about a different reaction? How about you calmly, the husband, let's say, calmly say, oh, you really want a divorce? But, oh, here, how would you react? Let's give the husband some hint. What can he say at this point that is different than being angry, feeling unappreciated? I put in so much effort into our relationship for 10 years and now you want a divorce just because I forgot your birthday. Say. What can the husband say to de-escalate, to fix the relationship? Come on, let's practice. Using our understanding of interdependence and our mindfulness of feeling, whatever. Think of all the trouble it will be to find a lawyer. but you're taking the word seriously. When she says she wants a divorce, don't take it seriously. I mean, she may be serious, but then if you take it seriously, get angry, you escalate the situation. You further tear up your relationship. You want to make an effort to fix the relationship. Right, suppose. He could say that you are so right. Okay, you say, oh, you're right. Is that really what you want? Can we think about this? If you say, how can you say divorce? You don't understand how much I put into this relationship. That's gonna escalate things, right? Gonna make her more angry. But if you say, you really want a divorce? Calmly, if you say calmly, she's going to react in a different way, right? Of course, the gender could be reversed. That makes the person step back and say, did I just say that? Why are you so calm about it? Do I mean that? It makes gives the other person space to reflect. Okay? That's what we want. So when we are arguing, we say things without thinking. We don't give ourselves space because we want to keep on going and fight to win. You know who wins in a fight? In an argument? The person who is calm wins. Not the person who has the last word. Not the person who forces the other person to agree. That's not winning. The person who remains calm at the end is the person that wins. Okay, somebody says, how about we talk about it tomorrow or we go for a walk? Okay. How about we talk about it? You want a divorce? How about we talk about it tomorrow or go for a walk? That's very good because that gives you, both of you, a space to cool down and reflect on what you said, right? I'm sorry, help me understand how you feel. I care for you. Very good. So you could say, oh, I'm sorry. Help me understand how you feel. I must have done something to make you want a divorce. So I'm sorry. Help me understand how you feel. That's very good if you can say that, right? I care for you. I care for us. So you are taking the low position, right? I want to patch up things. I'm willing to patch up things. Give me an opportunity. Okay? Don't let your ego, when your ego wins, you lose. Calmly ask, are you serious? Yeah, even a simple thing like that. Calmly ask, are you serious? Not in an angry way. Are you serious? That's not gonna work, right? So calmly say, are you serious? That can make the other person reflect, right? You need to go take a cold shower. That doesn't work. That escalates things. You need to go take a cold shower because you're saying they are wrong. I'm right, you're wrong. Then you're just gonna escalate things. Okay, so let's stop this example. We are talking about accepting, right? Accepting what happened. Accepting what happened. Instead of fighting it to not happen. You want a divorce? You can't want a divorce. That's not fair to me. You're fighting it. Accepting it. You want a divorce? Let's talk about it tomorrow. That's accepting it. Not accepting the divorce. Accepting the situation. But giving us space or time to think it over, right? To talk it over. Yeah. So accepting is the starting point, is the ground zero, is the starting point for you to cope with it with a calm mind, a clear mind. If your mind is not clear, if you're so agitated, step away. When your mind is calm, then you go back and think about the situation and cope with the situation. So accepting what already happened is the beginning point for more effectively coping with it. And we want to move on, right? We don't like what happened. You still don't like what happened. Accepting doesn't mean you have to like it. You accept means facing reality. This has happened. Now, you want to turn the situation into a different direction. Right? Okay. Fine. You can do that. You have the right to do that, right? We want to do that. Move the situation to a different way. From now, accepting what happened, to a future where things turn out differently. How do you take it from point A to point B? Causality. Cause and effect, right? You need to put together a different set of conditions, different set of factors to go from A to a different B, right? If today you're arguing with your spouse, if last week you argued with your spouse and this week you're arguing, so next week you're probably gonna argue with your spouse, you're taking in the same direction and they escalating it, and eventually divorce may happen. You may lose that person. You may break up the family. So you want a different direction. You want a family to be harmonious. You want a family to be a warm place. Remember, a warm place. Is your family a warm place? Warm and heartwarming place where everybody, when they come home, when they're with you, they feel warm. Are you making that happen? They feel warm when they're with you? So you want a different future, right? What factors is needed? The factors are, you change, and you change. Is that the right factors? No, that's not the right factors. Don't expect other people to change. Think about what you can change to make this a warm place, to make people enjoy being with you. That is what. It doesn't mean giving up your principles. Okay? Accepting people as they are. So what can you do that's different to make them appreciate you. So A to B, causality, cause and effect. Okay, let's see what other questions are there. A tangential question. Is there a relationship between the 4 elements referred in today's talk and the 5 elements, earth, metal, water, wood, and fire, which form a basis of traditional Chinese medicine? Okay, in the Chinese medicine, this is Wu Xing, the 5 elements, right? It's a different system of talking about something similar. So you can have a system of 4, you can say have a system of 5. What is this exact? It's not gonna be an exact match, right? So Buddhism take in the 4 elements system from Hindu philosophy and then make a use for Buddhist teaching, right? In terms of the physical aspects. In Chinese, the 5 elements are also intimately related to your organs, your health, right? How your body works, and possibly your mental state. Okay, so we can look at the system on its own and think, okay, what does metal represent? How does it relate to the part of your body? So it's a different organization, right? Different system, and I'm sure we can find ways to make the 5 elements harmonious, which is what Chinese medicine try to do. Okay, as to a match between the 4 and 5, I don't think it's gonna be a 1-to-1 match. But I think in both systems, we want the physical body to be harmonious, which we call health, right? Harmonious. And in both systems, the emphasis is on prevention, right? Prevention. Before things become seriously disrupted, how can we balance the elements of your body so it can maintain health, rather than in a major part of Western medicine is, okay, what went wrong? Let's fix it. So in both Hindu medicine, Ayurveda, and the Chinese medicine, they look at this, is the system in balance or out of balance? And that's my superficial understanding. Okay, Shifu, what can we do to better listen, to be able to hear others better? Very good question. What can we do to better listen? One characteristic of not listening well is to always cut into what people are saying. Before they finish, you always want to express something. You want to say something before they even finish. That means you're not listening. That means you are thinking about your idea and how your idea is different from the other person's perception. Okay, so if you always cut into other people's thinking, you're not listening. So listen means you allow that person to finish and you try hard. You make an effort to try to understand what they are saying. Not superficially, because people use words and sentences in different ways. So a primary example is, I love you. When people say I love you, what do they really mean? 10 people have different ideas about what they mean when they say I love you. And they put that expectation onto others. And different culture have different ideas of what it means to love somebody. Okay, so it's a very complicated thing. So before you say, do you love me? When you say, do you love me? In a relationship, say, do you love me? The other person probably doesn't even know what you mean by it. What do you mean? What kind of care, or what do you need from that person? What do you expect from that person? It's a very complicated thing. Right. So what to do to listen better? If you are the person who wants to listen better, then it's good. It's easy. If you're asking this question for yourself, what can I do to listen better? Then okay, do you cut into what people say? Do you try to, do you not let the other person finish? That's one thing. And when that person says something that's different from what you think, do you make an effort to try to understand them and ask questions? Oh, the third thing is ask questions about what they say. When you ask questions about what they say, means you're interested, makes that person feel appreciated, makes that person feel that you're trying to understand them, and that is a basis for good relationship. Okay, so ask questions about what they say. When you are telling bedside stories to your kid and when they were little, right? Don't they always ask questions? They keep on asking questions, interrupt your story, right? Right? That means they're really curious, and some parents get annoyed. Stop by a question, let me finish the story. But that's exactly not the point, right? The point is not to finish story. The point is to get them interested and have a good relationship. So you stopping them from asking questions, you're destroying that bound. Right, so ask questions. When Shifu has to talk to a person, when that person doesn't want to talk to Shifu, so example, a parent brings a kid to me and says, Shifu, drill some senses into him. Obviously the kid doesn't want to talk to me, but I want to help. So what do? The first thing I do usually is asking about the kid, or the kid may be a teenager, right? Asking about aspects of his or her life, what they're interested, how they're doing, and I follow up with questions. So maybe the first 10-15 minutes I keep on asking them questions, showing that I want to know them. I want to learn about them. I want to know what they like and what they dislike. And when I do that, they feel appreciated. They feel somebody's listening, and so many people don't want to listen to you. Yeah. So many parents don't want to listen to their children. They just want to drill their ideas into their children. You should do this, you should do that, you should listen to your parent. They don't want to listen to what they have to say. So many parents don't care about what they have to say. But you do have to. You have to listen to your kid and what they have to say, whether you agree with it or not. You gotta listen and try to understand where that is coming from, why they think this way. If they say something outrageous, don't get upset. Try to understand where that outrageous saying come from, that thinking come from. Because try to understand them first before you can teach them something. So Jing Gang Jing, the Diamond Sutra says to teach with skillful means. We want to teach, but often without skillful means, without skillfulness. To be skillful, you have to listen and know where they're coming from and know what things are effective to that person. If what you say make that person more upset, then you're not being effective. And that person is not listening to you. You're wasting time. You're tearing up the relationship. So listening is very important, okay? July 4th is Independence Day. So we recognize that all other days of the year as Interdependence Day. So July 4th is the Independence Day for the United States of America. So on July 4th, which is coming up, right? That will be a good contemplation to do on Independence Day. So United States was independent from what? From British control, right? Yeah. So that's where the independence come from. So enjoy independence for 200 years, 200 plus years. So what will be a good contemplation to do, even on Independence Day? The very fact that you are independent as a country is a relative thing, right? In fact, you are not independent. you're still interdependent on many, many different countries' resources, help, alliance, communication, right? United States become very powerful because of talents from all over the world come to United States. That's one important factor. Look at us. We come from so many different lands, right? So why do we want to come here? Or why do our parents want to come here? There's something valuable here. When we destroy that, something valuable, people don't want to come here anymore. We begin to have a talent drain, or the citizens feel upset. So Independence Day will be a great time to think about the fact that we are an independent country for 200 plus years. Do we want to become independent for another 1,000 years? Then we want to think about the interdependence, our relationship with other countries. Our relationship with the other countries going in a good way or a bad way? I think we're going in a very bad way in the last 6 to 8 years. In a very, very bad way, right? So we cannot affect that big thing, but we can do our local things. We are here. As I see, we come from at least 5 or 10 different countries originally. Here, right? Just right here today, in these 30 plus people, right? So we can learn about each other's culture. We can learn about each other's ways. We can learn from each other, and that will be a way for our citizens to become more world wise. When the citizens become very arrogant and don't want to know about don't want to care about other cultures, and they think my way is the only way, then that is the going downhill, right? So every day is an interdependent day, including Independence Day. Oh, we're out of time. Okay, so about acceptance, we accept the facts without judgment and move forward with a calm mind peacefully, yes. And with purpose, you can move forward with a purpose. Never say things that you will regret later, but we say things that we regret quite frequently when our emotions get out of control. I recently came across the idea that instead of saying I'm trying to run more, people should tell themselves I am a runner, or instead I'm trying to start a business. I think of yourself as an entrepreneur. I think of yourself as entrepreneur. I can see how this could increase motivation and consistency. What is the Chan perspective? Is there ever value in attaching to identity? Yes, there is a value to adopting an identity. For example, in Buddhism, we encourage you to adopt a particular identity. And what is the identity? Bodhisattva, right? A Bodhisattva is somebody who aims to become a Buddha, who takes Buddha as the highest role model, who aims to improve themselves and awaken themselves, and to help others awaken themselves. That's the identity of a Bodhisattva. So we encourage you to do that. So at first, we need to have good role models, or set good goals, have good purpose, right? That's important. That motivates us. Something that make you, when you wake up in the morning, make you come out of bed, with energy. So, hey, another day, another opportunity to do what I want to do.
Сказал, что у него есть кровать. Я думал, вторую кровать.
However, we do want to condition that purpose, the identity, with some understanding. And the understanding is, I can change my goal whenever I want to. Not that I want to change it all the time, but you always have the choice to change your goal or modify your goal. When at a later time, you are wiser, you see more perspectives, you know better what is good for you and others, you can modify it, right? So don't be afraid to change your purpose. That's one thing. Another is that what the goal you try to reach may not be what you think it is, because you're not there yet, right? You're not there yet. When you're there, you may see things you didn't know before, and it's your own effort, it's your own karma. You have to accept whatever comes, right? And third, there's a point where you need to let go of that goal. So when even in the goal of a bodhisattva, I want to become a bodhisattva. I'm trying to put all my effort into becoming a bodhisattva. But then if you keep on thinking, I'm a bodhisattva, I'm here to help you, then that becomes a problem, right? So how to become a bodhisattva without the idea of I'm a bodhisattva, that is a tricky balance. How to do the act of a bodhisattva without having the idea I'm a bodhisattva, I'm here to help everybody. That is to practice, keep helping others and yourself without the idea of self. That is subtle. That is profound. Okay, you want to help everybody without the idea that I'm helping you. Okay. So yes, you do need to set goals, and Shifu encourage you to set short-term goals, intermediate-term goals, and long-term goals. Short-term goals, something you want to accomplish in a week. Some habit you want to change, some good habit you want to develop, right? Some discipline you try to have. So start with 1 week or 1 month, short-term goal. So imagine a week from now or a month from now, I'm a little bit better in a certain way, or I've done something that I'm happy with, right? Short-term goal, right? They are easier. They build up discipline. Intermediate goals, 1 year from now. What do I want to see in myself? What does this I become? How do I want myself to be a year from now? Or 5 years from now? Intermediate goals. Those are important. Give you perspective, right? So you don't just focus on the immediate short things, small things. Intermediate goal and long-term goals. 10 years from now, when I die, what will make me feel, oh, I lived this life meaningfully. I didn't waste it. I made mistakes, but mistakes are stepping stone for self-improvement. So you're happy that you live your life this way. So that's the long-term goal, right? Or even long-term goal, cross lifetimes. So becoming a Buddha, the practice of Bodhisattva is a cross lifetime goal. So yes, set these short-term, intermediate, and long-term goals. Okay? Adopt this identity as you need, and then let go of the identity when it no longer serves. Like a forced actualization message to your consciousness, subconsciousness. I'm happy, I'm happy. Yeah, that actually is a useful thing. With some contemplation, okay? I'm happy, I'm happy. So, why are you happy? When you tell yourself, hey, I'm happy, I'm happy. Why are you happy? So, earlier we said, wake up in the morning, think about things you appreciate, right? Be grateful. That's one way to start the day with happiness. When you recognize your blessings, every person has so many blessings that they overlook. So when you wake up in the morning with 5 things, so every day could be 5 different things, 5 days, just 5 things that you are grateful of. That start your day with happiness, starts your day with a feeling of being blessed. And when you feel this way, your family members will like you better. Things will go more smoothly. You bring that sunshine into other people's lives. Okay, so that's a more detailed way of telling yourself I'm happy. Okay. Transgender surgeries are not a good idea. Doesn't it go in the opposite direction of acceptance, especially kids who really don't think they belong in their body? Per science, sex, gender are two different things. Sex and gender are two different things. Gender is conditioned by society. I think that's a new idea. Gender is conditioned by society. Okay, you can define the term what you want, but this is not really an issue for thousands of years until recently. Yeah, that people can adopt a gender. That's a very new idea, and it's
No,
in a
Shifu,
small part of society.
actually, it's not a new idea because in the ancient Indian scriptures, there were people who were belonged to some different gender, and then and they had to live in isolation, doing certain kind of things, and people won't accept them. But now people are accepting them, so they
Okay,
are.
let me ask you, do you
Yeah.
think it's a good idea to encourage teenagers to go through these surgeries?
No, teenagers, mostly because they are underage,
Right.
they still need, I think, permission from the family and all. If family is supportive and family thinks that, okay, my son or my daughter are, because I'm in education system and we have so many, now those institutions are accepting that and being very respectful, because there were a lot of hate crimes going on when they were
What
hiding.
about the biological
Yeah,
effects that
that's
remain with you for the rest of your life?
That's the thing, that they, if they decide, they mostly decide those surgeries when they're adults, and they still have that point of view about themselves.
Do they actually understand the effects? Do they, before you have the surgery, do you actually have a way to understand the effects that you have to live with, that you are dependent on certain medicines for the rest of your life?
That's the thing, that the society is so diverse, and some families are very accepting of that, and some families have very old minds, so they don't allow their kids and they run away from the family, and they just don't meet with their parents anymore. So the
Okay,
thing is, like,
so
when we listen to, like you said, that we should try to listen to our kids, right? So parents, they try to
we
understand.
should listen to our kids, but we have to understand their views could be immature or misinformed. Listen to your kid doesn't mean agree with your kid, but you listen with a calm mind. So misperception, false views is the source of suffering. I'm not saying transgender surgery is a bad thing. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. I'm saying that, do you really understand what you're doing?
Yeah.
Or when the school encourage, or the society encourages that, is that really, do they really understand the consequences, or is it falling into the prey of big pharmacies, because there's so much money involved? Do they understand that? Okay, so consider carefully. That's what I'm saying. Okay?
Yeah, that's true.
The frontal lobes are not developed until age 24. People make such a decision before their brain is fully developed. Some people, maybe the brain is not fully developed when they're 50. Okay, we ran over time, so I'm glad that we have a chance to have these discussions and then listen to different ideas. There's the acceptance is a very deep idea and it's easily misunderstood. So I hope we give some thoughts to that. Okay, and accepting doesn't mean you agree. Doesn't mean it's that what they say or behave is good for them or good for the society, right? So ultimately, the Bodhisattva, the Buddha, wants what brings true happiness to all people, and that is a deep issue. What actually brings real happiness to people? Okay, so we'll continue with our topic, deconstruct the self. Next time we'll hope to cover the control part as well as there's more to that. Okay, so we'll schedule that, and we are grateful for all the people who are here, all the conditions that happen. So let us make, let's see, before we do the dedication, are there any announcements? Oh yes, Shifu will start a new round of classes in July. So that information is already available on our website. So do sign up for that. Sign up means that you can join our Zoom meeting, so we can have a conversation online like this after Shifu's talk is over. Okay, and if you don't sign up, you can still listen to the live broadcast of YouTube. Okay, and so let people know that the topic is Chinese Zen masters, right? Stories of the great Zen masters. So we'll continue on that. All right, and that's gonna be a very fascinating journey as well. There's so many wonderful stories from the Zen masters. All right, and also before that, we have decided there's a three refuges taking refuge in the Buddha, in the Dharma, and the Sangha. Means that I want to become Buddhist. So there's an opportunity to do that. When is that? What day is the three refuges? 三皈依是哪一天呢？
June 21st.
June 21st?
Yes.
June 21st?
And
Yeah.
11.
Sunday, June 21st, Sunday,
Okay.
11 a.m.
So there's an online registration form. You have to register ahead of time for that. Okay, if there are no English-speaking people signed up, we'll just proceed in Chinese. But if there are English speakers participating, we'll do it bilingually. Okay. All right. So I think that's it. Anything else I need to announce?
Sifu, the English class is 100 dharmas. It's not the
Okay.
Zen master. Yeah.
Okay, a mistake. We'll continue with the 100 dharmas, which I promised before, yes. And there's more interesting things to learn from the Buddhist psychology, okay, Buddhist analysis of the mind. Okay. Let's conclude then with the dedication. The dedication is really a way to recognize our blessings, right? So we are grateful for what has happened, and because what we're doing is creating good karma, we want to share the merits, the consequence of the good karma with others. That's the point of the dedication. So we dedicate the merits from our studying the Dharma together, having the blessing of learning from the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, and learning with each other. We dedicate this merits to all the participants, to all of you here, to your family and friends, and to all sentient beings in all the countries, all the lands, all the worlds. May we all make progress in our enlightenment. We will all achieve true happiness. And we also dedicate the merits to peace everywhere in the world. Okay, we'll see you Sunday, which 6 a.m. we have Sunday morning meditation. Otherwise, we'll see you sometime. Okay, take care.
We put our palms together and thank Jianhu Shifu for the lecture.
One
3 half bows.
half bow to the Buddha.
阿弥陀佛。